afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum. For the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we're going to look at the market with the Market Watch. Stocks we're paying attention to. A lot of retail stocks announcing their quarterly numbers. A lot of them not good. Their stocks are down today. NVIDIA, of course, announcing yesterday. Good. A little bit of a mixed bag in there. We'll talk about that here coming up as well. All the local and national stories that you need to know around the business side of things. So appreciate you joining us. Let's not delay it. Let's get right into that Market Watch. S&P 500 hit a record today. Well, a lot of that's because of NVIDIA reporting yesterday. They are their results do validate kind of the money being spent on the AI quote-unquote boom that's happening, right? Out there with a lot of companies. So that's leading the S&P 500 up, as you see at the top of your screen there. 28 points up here today. 64.98 for it right now. Dow Jones is down just nominally, but barely down right now. Basically 1 point, 45,583. The NASDAQ up 118 points as well. 21,708 for that tech-heavy index. And obviously, NVIDIA has good reporting. It goes around into their competitors as well. Russell 2K, that small cap index, barely down here, barely up here right now, less than a point, 2376. And then Bitcoin still down in that 112 range here, 112,255, about 1,000 points up here today. I was reading a story earlier or last night, to be honest with you, I don't remember which, on Bitcoin. And they said if it's become more stable lately, which means you'll see some more bigger investors kind of jump into Bitcoin. If it is more stable, the wild swings of going up to 119, down to 113, a lot of big investors kind of frown from being in that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. If it does settle down and gets more stable, like we kind of is seeing lately, you'll see more of those bigger guys take big interest there in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So interesting thing to catch up on, and floating that out there for your interest as well. And the first stock we're looking at today, well, of course, NVIDIA. They announced their numbers yesterday after close, and today they are down 0.74% right now. It's been kind of a up and down, about a point down throughout the whole day. But the reason why, their numbers, right, they posted a second quarter earnings and revenue beat. That wasn't a surprise. We expected that, and I told you that yesterday as well. But they did have some flaws in their reporting, right? Data center revenue did come in below estimates. But not only did it come in under estimates, second straight quarter, their data center revenue has come in below estimates as well. So not all 100% positive on NVIDIA. He also announced that profit sharing, right, with the United States government on those China chip sales, that was officially announced yesterday in the meeting as well. So today, NVIDIA barely down here, right? 0.83% right now. So not all wins in their reporting yesterday, but still a strong company to be behind in the near future. Next up, we're going to look at one of those retailers I told you about. A lot of those reporting yesterday. So we're going to look at Best Buy right now. They are down. They were down over 6% earlier today, so not as bad here, right? It's clawed back a little bit, 3.74%. Well, they stuck with its annual sales and profit forecast, which is kind of shocking. They stuck with it because their latest quarterly results actually topped estimates. They did not adjust anything up after beating estimate levels there. So Best Buy did come out, though, on why they did that. Uncertainty around the impact of tariffs in the second half of the year is why they are staying, in their words, conservative with their guidance and not adjusting that. And that stock is taking a hit for not adjusting it as well. Best Buy also said they'll be laying off workers because it's adapting to a new consumer patterns that's happening here in this marketplace. And we're going to see that a little bit today in our stories as well. A lot of people doing some rescheduling, redoing either their corporate side of things and moving workers around in their organizations based off of these new consumer patterns. So that is a theme here in these businesses with the tariffs out there. And and the way we as consumers have adapted here in this marketplace. And then data management company, well, it's called Pure Storage is the next stock that we are going to look at, up 30% today here, folks. They beat the estimate there on their top and bottom lines. Their earnings per share and revenue beat estimate levels. Their adjusted earnings for the second quarter was 43 cents per share. The expectation was 39 cents per share. Revenue was 861 million. Well, the estimate was 847 million dollars. And this is a data management company, and they beat the revenue numbers in fairly good margin as well, right? Their stock is going up huge today because of that. 30% up here for Pure Storage as this day goes on. Later on, when we come back and look at these stocks as well, the stocks we'll be paying attention to, some more retail. Dick's Sporting Goods, Bath and Body Works, Hormel, right? The food company. We're going to take a look at them as well. Retail stocks, I can just tell you, are taking a beating here today with some of these announcements as a whole, which makes the whole industry kind of go down when you get a lot of negativity on that side of things. And it is an amazing thing to see. And it's not just the retail stocks as well, out there. Other stocks, like Urban Outfitters. I'll just tell you here, give you an idea. We're not talking about it and showing you the graph, but Urban Outfitters is down 10%. Five Below is actually up 5% here as well. They did post revenue beat, but it's shocking they beat it because, tariffs. They get a lot of their stuff from Indonesia and those places with the large tariff numbers out there, right? But a lot of artificial, intelligence. We just talked about NVIDIA, Snowflake. They're a data cloud and artificial intelligence company. They're up 18% today. NetApp, 3% up as well. Intelligent data infrastructure company. So these industries grow, right, as the reporting comes out here. CrowdStrike, that cybersecurity provider, 3% up for them as well. So it is amazing how these industries do go here. And you saw in the market, right, just nominal movement here today because of a lot of these news out there. And let's get into the stories here around there because we did get a glimpse into our economy here in the United States. And I can just tell you, the U.S. economy grew at a pace that was faster than expected here with the report that came out this morning. This is all part of the second quarter reporting here. Consumers and businesses, well, they're staying strong compared to that tariff volatility that is out there in the marketplace. So gross domestic product is what we're talking about. It rose at a 3.3% annualized pace, April through June period. So second quarter. And this is all from the Commerce Department here, and they reported this earlier this morning. So it's the second estimate for the most encompassing measure of economic activity is this report. So the reading was better than the initial 3% estimate, as well as the 3.1% consensus forecast out there by investors. Consumer spending, something obviously being very watched right now on a lot of levels. It rose by 1.6% compared with an initial 1.4% estimate. Obviously, that helps the number push higher overall when consumer spending comes in and rises 1.6%. We hear a lot about consumer spending, kind of people being very careful on where they're spending. That number's still rising at that higher number. So then you got the measure, the measure out there that they talk about. It's final sales to private domestic purchasers. Well, that was up 1.9% as well. The previous figure was 1.2% for that. Federal Reserve officials pay attention closely to that number because it's an indication of demand and sales, and it focuses on activity within the U.S. borders. So no tariffs, et cetera. What's specifically happening here in America? It's an important measure, because we don't know what's happening with the tariffs, right? We see some affected by it, some not affected by it. So it's just things that happen inside the borders takes the tariff situation kind of out of it. Big number here that the Fed obviously is going to be paying attention to. So the GDP number reflects the unusual impact of the tariffs as they relate to trade numbers, right? Imports, and if you don't know, imports are subtracted from the GDP. Well, they tumbled 29.8% here in the second quarter. A lot of it still has to do with everybody, we're going to say pre-ordered, right? Stockpiled their stocks coming over or their stuff coming over here before those April 2 tariffs ended up going into thing, right? The Liberation Day, as they called it. So we're still working through a lot of that inventory out there. So imports still tumbling 29.8%. But because it is so far down, well, that subtracts from GDP, which does make the number lower than it probably actually should have been. So it's the import number was also a bit less from the previous estimate, which was 30.3% is what they were looking at that time. So exports, if imports are subtracted from GDP, well, exports are added to GDP. Well, they fell by 1.3% compared with the estimate out there was subtracting 1.8% is what they estimate was originally out there. So if you add everything together here in terms of the exports and imports, net exports, they added about 5 percentage points to the Q2 total in GDP this semester. So a lot of numbers here and everything. GDP is coming at that healthy 3% in this quarter. So for the first half of the year as a total, GDP has actually grown about 2.1%. So about 1% per quarter is what we're looking at right now, according to the numbers. The economy contracted 0.5% in the first quarter, and a lot of that was that import rush that came. A lot of imports came in that first quarter, causing that number to be at that 0.5%. So, it's interesting looking at this, and as you guys know, right, get your investment advice from somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. I just do a lot of reading and go off of experts' opinions. I think we have a healthy GDP here. Now, could it be higher? Absolutely. Are the tariffs impacting it? Absolutely. But a 2% number there for the first half of the year with all the turmoil and everything, not a shady number at all, at least from my perspective out there. And I'm reading, there's always dissent on both sides, but it's kind of what we're looking at here. And then in tariff news out there, well, I don't know if this is good or bad news, but Japan was supposed to come here to Washington and meet with President Trump and the trade negotiators to hammer out this deal where a framework's been put in place. Well, Japan's top trade negotiator just abruptly, quickly, before he was supposed to board his plane, canceled his trip to Washington. This trip was aimed to issuing a joint statement on a tariffs deal with the Trump administration. So not only that, in Japan, a top government spokesperson over there, they urged the U.S. To speed up implementation of the agreement. So even though there's an agreement in place, well, Japan's not happy with the time it's taking to put this all into effect, I guess we could say. So the trade envoy there in Japan was scheduled to leave Tokyo for Washington this morning for a 10th round of talks. And then they wanted to do the agreement and announce it on July 22nd back then, right? I'm sorry, we got this delay. Chief Cabinet Secretary from Japan told reporters some details require further consultations. So that's why they canceled this trip now, because they're still negotiating, I guess, right? It just shouldn't take this long, right? In my opinion, but government moves slow. Back in July, the two sides agreed on that 15% tax on imports of most Japanese goods that would have been effective August 1st, down from an earlier 25% rate that was announced by President Trump on that reciprocal tariff, deal that he did at one point in time out there. So the 15% is into effect as of August 1st, but a lot of things are slipping through the cracks, as we've talked about with the EU and other framework deals that are out there as well. So, but here's the thing: Japanese officials discovered after this framework was put together that the preliminary deal would add a 15% tariff to other tariffs, and they objected to that number that they found later on. Officials in Washington have acknowledged the mistake. They agreed to abide by the agreement on a 15% tariff, and they were going to the U.S. said that they would refund any excess import duties that were paid by Japan at that point. And surprise, surprise, folks, that hasn't happened yet. So Japan's not too happy with this deal. And then earlier this week on Fox News, you go back and look at this, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he said Washington was ready to finalize this deal with Japan. And Japan also pledged to invest up to $550 billion into the United States throughout the next coming years. So what's the holdup then? You're prepared to do it last week. hmm So the Japan trade deal, we know the EU one's kind of held up right now as well, and it's something that we're all dealing with out there. And we told you earlier this week, about that de minimis tax going away, and the European carriers are not shipping. Postal Service, DHL, aren't shipping packages to the United States right now while they're waiting for clarification on how to handle that situation. Well, yesterday afternoon, Mexico came in and weighed in on this as well. And Mexico said that their postal service was suspending package shipments to the United States starting yesterday. This, of course, is all ahead of the end of that exemption on tariff duties for that de minimis tax that's coming up here. It actually goes into effect tomorrow, folks. The announcement does follow similar moves as we told you about the European Union. Several other countries, China included, are pausing shipping as they await more clarity on the U.S. measure. The interesting thing here is this is happening during months long negotiations between the Mexican government and the Trump administrations to avoid wider tariffs. So now we're not getting stuff. I was reading that somebody was at the Mexico post office trying to send pictures for some modeling stuff they were trying to do up here to the United States, and they would not deliver them up here. And they were just pictures, no value whatsoever. They wouldn't ship them up to the United States for them because they're not sending packages up here to the United States. So if that's true, I mean, this is how wide ranging it is across the world. If you remember the de minimis exception or tariff there, that's the one that allowed packages worth less than $800 to come to the U.S. duty free. It is ending tomorrow out there. And we've told you these numbers before, but 1.36 billion packages were sent in 2024 under that exemption. Goods that were shipped under that exemption, $64.6 billion worth of goods. No tariffs put onto those coming in, duty free for $64.6 billion as well. Shein, Temu are two big companies that took advantage of that number as well. So Mexico getting involved and halting right now as well. And then interesting here in terms of stocks, and this is what's kind of propping up the S&P 500 specifically because a lot of the companies are under that. But U.S. companies are doing a lot of buybacks right now, and they're planning to do more buyback, and this is of their shares, and they're going to do it and continue to do it at a historic pace that's going on right now. This is a sign of this happening, that corporate America's confidence in the economy is strong. And the latest one to do it was yesterday. NVIDIA came out and they said they were going to start repurchasing stocks as well. So announced bypass lately, well, they've surpassed $1 trillion as of August 20th. So that doesn't include NVIDIA tomorrow announcing it yesterday they were going to do it. It's the shortest amount of time needed to reach that level of $1 trillion in a year. This is all according to data compiled by Bennell Associates, who kind of watches this stuff. The previous record in terms of time frame to hit $1 trillion was last year, and it wasn't until October of last year to hit that $1 trillion mark on share buybacks by companies. So over the last few months, corporate, big, huge conglomerates, right? Corporate heavyweights, mainly in financials and technology sectors, but there have been other ones. They've given the green light to large share repurchasing programs. Yeah, and as I said yesterday, NVIDIA announced plans to buy back $60 billion worth of stock, and they announced that during their quarter results after the market closed yesterday. But then if you go back even more, right, back in May, Apple announced it would buy back $100 billion in stock. Alphabet, parent company to Google and others, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and even Bank of America, they've all announced buybacks of at least $40 billion each on those companies, and a couple of them are in the $50-60 billion range. So companies, that shows faith in the economy here if you're buying them back at their current prices. Last month, the announced share repurchasing totaled $166 billion. That's the highest dollar value on record, and for July specifically. But Buyback plans from the largest American financial and technology companies started to kick in last month, and that's why you got that $166 billion level there. So pay attention to companies if they start buying back their shares. They have positive sides of that stock's going to keep going up, obviously, that perspective. And it's a ploy by them. It also helps keep the stock high as well as they do all of that stuff out there. And with that de minimis tax, expiring tomorrow, well, some of our favorite, we'll call them discount retailers, well, they're talking a lot about raising prices coming up here. And the latest one, well, Ross stores came out in their earnings call just earlier, I think it was end of last week, beginning of this week. They kind of hit on this, and the CEO there of Ross, they stated that their company has been working tirelessly to lessen the impact of tariffs. But then the chief operating officer came on. His name's Michael Harshburn. He said prices are going to rise at Ross coming up here. Here's the exact quote that he said. In some places, we'll move along and raise prices and test it. It's really an area by area decision by the merchant, but if prices go up, it gives us the flexibility to follow for sure, was his exact quote. So these discount retailers are now looking at higher prices here. The move from the discount chain there of Ross, well, it comes as retailers and international shippers, including, Shein, Temu, as we talked about, right? They're all trying to navigate through these tariffs and what is happening here in the economy right now. So prices on imported low-cost goods across the board are going to spike here soon, is what people are expecting. And it's that trade loophole expiring tomorrow, and so no more. Sometimes Shein and Temu price things, at lower than $800 to make sure it fell in under the duty-free side of things. And Ross ran into that, and some of those importers like Five Below ran into that as well. So Ross store executives did announce that the company recently opened 31 new locations. They actually plan to expand its retail presence, even though they're looking at those pricing issues and everything. So they're still expanding, at least according to their announcements. Ross's latest earnings report, it shows comparable store sales actually increased by 2% year over year during the second quarter of this year. Consumer visits or customer visits to Ross stores actually increased by 5.8%. It's where they're getting bold here on the price increases, right? They're seeing their increased volume go up as consumers are being more careful on where they spend their money and how they spend their money. Sales for the quarter was driven strictly by that higher traffic. The company's operating income, though, is the problem, right? It dipped about 3% year over year. Tariff-related costs, getting the items, not as cheap as they did before, not being able to raise the prices previously. So, the de minimis exception going away tomorrow is going to drive some of these prices up as you'll start having to pay duties on that stuff. And now stores like Ross, right, kind of in conjunction with that, discount retailers are going to start raising their prices as well. So buckle up, folks. It is officially here. And what people have been talking about for months is officially here. And told you earlier, right, Best Buy said they're going to start laying off some people. Well, Kroger, right, they're Cincinnati based, but their Fry's here and have a lot of big, huge presence here in the Phoenix area. Well, they told employees it's eliminating nearly 1,000 corporate jobs nationwide, including 200 even in its hometown area there of Cincinnati. So in a memo obtained by the Cincinnati Enquirer, Kroger interim CEO, remember their other CEO stepped down for questionable reasons. Well, the interim CEO said the cuts would, quote, simplify the organization, which is what they always say. And then they said that free up money for Kroger for lower grocery prices, add hours for store employees, and even spend more to improve its stores by these layoffs, where that money's reportedly going to go. These latest cuts are the third wave of reductions in administration and other non-store jobs in 2025 for Kroger as well. So they had their back-to-back cuts in February and March, if you remember that time frame. And if you look back to the one of those cuts, right, I went back and looked, and I think it was the February cuts. Kroger had about 409,000 staff at that time. Most of the staff works within the stores, by the way. They don't have a very large corporate presence in terms of a corporate level. So it's going to be even less here coming up. So this is the theme, right? Best Buy cutting some corporate staff. They put back money back into the stores, improve things at that level, extend hours, etc. Now Kroger announcing it as well, and I think that's the trend here of retail as we work through this economy that we are currently dealing with. And then sports fans rejoice. Even if news and politics is your thing and you're not a sports fan and you have YouTube TV, well, YouTube TV did come out and say they've reached the short term extension in its contract dispute with Fox. So basically, if you are a subscriber to YouTube TV, you won't see any immediate disruptions of Fox channels within that YouTube TV platform. So the current agreement between UTV and YouTube TV and Fox, say this 10 times fast. It originally faced a Wednesday afternoon deadline. YouTube previously warning that networks like Fox Sports, Business, and News would become unavailable as of yesterday on that streaming platform if they didn't reach a deal, by yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Well, go ahead here. And what would have happened is YouTube TV customers, you won't have week one of some college football games this weekend, which there's some big ones on Fox this weekend. And, obviously other things, right? Fox News, Fox Business, etc. But after that deadline of 5 p.m. Eastern came, YouTube did come out and say it was able to prevent disruption as it continues to work towards a new agreement with Fox. So they have a tentative deal. It is going to keep going on. So no worry if you have YouTube TV for the sports this weekend, or like I said, politics or whatever. No fear. It's going to continue as of now as they continue to work on the new agreement. So that is the update on that perspective. Other things around sports, 'cause we're going to put that one kind of in a sports category. If you're going to head out to West Point this year, heads up here. Money, just keep in mind, money in the sale of a certain beverage at sporting events brings in a lot of money. Well, Army is now announced they're going to begin selling alcoholic beverages at their football games at their home stadium there, Michi Stadium, beginning this week. They have a game against Tarleton State on Friday night. Their athletic director came out and announced this. Interesting enough, I was curious, like, is Army the only service academy or are there other ones not doing it? Well, no, all the other ones are. Army was the last service academy to not sell alcohol at football games. Air Force started it back in 2017, and Navy did it back in 2021 at that time. So basically everybody's selling alcoholic beverages now as well. I know ASU's been doing it for years. So here's what they said. The opportunity to purchase alcohol has become common practice at college athletic venues across the country. We are pleased to introduce it here at West Point as part of our ongoing commitment to enhancing the game day experience. A lot of people would argue it detracts from the game day experience for the people that act like idiots when they drink too much, right? So they did add and specifically commented on after that, though, that they're committed to ensuring a safe and family-friendly environment for their fans. So you'll be able to purchase beer and ready-to-drink cocktails, a limit of 2 drinks per transaction. That's standard across the industry. But here's what's interesting. If you look up where the revenue is going to go, right? Every school is trying to figure out how to pay their sports people. They're trying to figure out NIL stuff, etc. Well, a portion of this revenue from alcohol sales will actually go to support Army's other 29 sports. So it is going to fund other sports events around Army as well. And staying on the sports side of thing, I'm not a fan of it at all, but maybe you are. Powerade, I think it's gross. More of a Gatorade guy. But they have that It Takes More, national marketing campaign that's been going on for, I think, a year or so now. Well, Powerade did announce the launch of a refresh of that promotion there this week, and it features 4 of the top football players in the country ahead of the 2025 season. And Kobe, I knew you were going to pick the LSU quarterback to put that picture on there when I saw it. We're talking about this for a couple reasons. One, it's a big deal, but also Arizona State quarterback Sam Levitt's on that. That's the picture you should have had, Kobe. Folks, I'll yell at Kobe later off air. but there are four quarterbacks or four players that they're focusing on here. So this underscores this. It takes more campaign underscores Powerade's ongoing support of college sports. So potential 2026 NFL draft prospects are the four that are chosen. LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. He returns as Powerade corporate athlete partner, I should say, this season. As I said, Arizona State quarterback Sam Levitt here locally is one of those quarterbacks as well. Iowa safety Xavier Nwankpa, I can say that properly. He's on that list. And then Georgia running back Nate Frazier joins those four there as the Powerade It Takes More campaign. So local quarterback here at Arizona State involved in this. All four of these athletes gave a glimpse into their personal motivations that fuel drive to succeed. There you go, Kobe. There's Sam Levitt for you guys. Hopefully, they want to beat the others to the road to the national championship. It's kind of the trend of this promotion there. Powerade isn't just teaming up with these four athletes for the college football season. And I mean, this just tells you the expectations as ASU gets underway Saturday night as well. But it just shows you the expectations for this team as well. So as an extension of the campaign, well, the brand will be partnering with more than 35 NIL athletes from colleges and universities across the country. They're going to further amplify their footprint through digital and social media content. Powerade's also going to be hosting a tailgate tour throughout the season. Why are we talking about this? Well, they're going to show up on site at game days across the country with activations like hydration stations with prizes and giveaways. There's going to be inclusive athlete appearances at top colleges and universities. And why are we talking about it? Well, it's because LSU, Georgia, Arizona State, and even Iowa are on that list here for that tailgate to happen out there. So local talent here at Arizona State getting national recognition with the NIL deal. Sam Levitt there, and then coming through with the tailgate here to Arizona State as well. Expectations are high for this program going into this season, and it's going to be fun to watch how this goes here this year. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. Come on back, folks. More stocks to look at. Local stories coming your way, so let's check it all out. Come on back. McCollum on Business. We're back here. McCollum on Business, live 11 o'clock. We're live on Robat TV. And folks, it has no podcast here for this show yet, but we got something better coming away, of course. After we're live at 11 o'clock here, we also put it up on demand at Robat TV for those of you with subscriptions for the Park University programming, the morning show, all of that is there. So it's still available there. But this show's also going up on my station's YouTube channel as well. So put the first episode yesterday. I saw some of you already found it there. We're building that YouTube page right now as well. So that's a new thing there. Find us there as well if you're interested in the business world of things. And this show kind of ebbs and flows with stories. We got to give you a lot of information in a short amount of time. And also maybe some guests from time to time come in here. And so stay tuned for that. We appreciate you however you find us here. Of course, the main event was in the can earlier today as well. That's also going on that YouTube channel, but on demand right now at Robat TV. Free podcast for that one. For those of you that'd rather listen to it than watch, Dale's face on your screen. Any of your podcast systems, that is there for you as well. The Pit Stop weekly show here around NASCAR-based racing. At the Pit Stop Talk is the social media there. It's going to go up on the YouTube channel as well for the on-demand side, but it also comes out here at Robat TV every week as well. So pay attention to those shows. The Real Matrix is coming up here as well. That is the Angry Patriot, and we'd love to do a show with you as well here, right? If you ever dreamed of doing a show, you were old pro at doing shows, we have the setup here in the crews to work with you out there. All you have to do is reach out to me here on the text line of the show, 623-252-6670. Hit me up on any of the social medias. We'll talk to you. It's very simple to get in here. If you have an idea, you're not sure how you're going to work out, we will work with you to get you set up. Come in here. If you don't know how you're going to be on camera, that's all right. We'll get you set up. We'll work with you long enough, as needed to get you comfortable to where you're happy with what you put out there. That's the key here as well. So just reach out to us. We'd love to work with you. All that being said, well, let's get back into that market watch. Same kind of a situation, just everything's there today, right? No big movements anywhere. Dow Jones is up 27 points right now. S&P 500 is up to 32. NASDAQ's up to 125. Russell 2K, that small cap index, is just up 2 points here today. And then Bitcoin, well, it's moved higher here, right? 1,400 points up right now. It's at the 112,670 for Bitcoin here today. It seems to have found its equal medium here in this 112,000 range here this week so far. We'll see what happens with the market here as we go into, of course, Friday tomorrow after all of the announcements are out there. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, some more retailers out there. A lot of them reported here yesterday. Dick's Sporting Goods is up as well. Well, they're down 5.42% here today. They did beat expectations on both lines, right? Earnings per share and revenue. There in the second quarter. They even hiked their full year outlook. Usually when you do that, your stock goes up on a day. Well, Dick's Sporting Goods having the opposite effect here, down 5.42% here on their stock day here today. Next up, we got Bath and Body Works. I know my daughter keeps this stock up and running here when we have to go there and get her fragrance and candle stuff. Well, they are down today, 8.99%. Second quarter adjusted earnings were 37 cents per share. The estimate was 38 cents per share for them. Bath and Body Works, $1.55 billion revenue. Well, it was just in line with expectations. They're down big, 8.94% here today for Bath and Body Works. So retail announcements are some are way up, some are way down, some are hitting their numbers, some are hitting their expectations and still down, some are missing their expectations and they're up. It's an amazing era that we live in right now around these retail stocks. Then the food company, you know them as Hormel out there. Well, they're down big today, 12.96% down right now for them. 52-week low, by the way, here today. If it stays at this level, well, it warned their profits would be lower and lower than expected is how they phrased it in the current quarter. It's grappling with higher commodity costs is how they phrased it. For their fourth quarter, Hormel does expect to earn between 38 and 40 cents per share. Well, the expectation was 49 cents per share for them. And they're blaming it strictly on profits not coming through. Now, they didn't specifically say tariffs, right? They just said higher commodity costs for them here. But that news today means Hormel's down 12.97% here today on the stock market. That's never a good sign for market conditions. Investors generally don't like that news out there. And definitely the case here for Hormel today. So mixed bags of stocks here today. I generally don't like to leave on a negative one, but wanted to pay attention to those retailers and obviously them and their numbers there. So we'll leave that on the negative side, but some local stories here around. But you guys remember back when Joe Biden was president and they kind of sent money here to the ASU in this area. Well, the Department of Commerce, they announced it is pulling back that billions of dollars. Well, about 1.1 billion is what they sent here. And this was all around that semiconductor research that was awarded by the Joe Biden administration to this area for that semiconductor work, right? So this included $1.1 billion there for that facility at Arizona State University when they announced it. And this was all back in 2023. Biden administration announced that it would be partnering with that new nonprofit to operate the National Semiconductor Technology Center, the NSTC. It's a nonprofit. It is now actually known as Netcast, is what it's called now, if you hear that name. And it, of course, received that billions of dollars of funding from that Bipartisan Chips and Science Act. And it's building the country's domestic semiconductor manufacturing industry was the goal of it. Well, fast forward here to where we are today. And the Trump administration announced this week it was taking back that funding. They claim that its predecessor, meaning the Biden administration, illegally propped up Netcast. And that's a violation of federal law prohibiting agencies from establishing corporations without congressional authorization. That's the Trump administration's stance. The CHIP Act, if actually did require the Department of Commerce to create a national semiconductor technology center. So it was in the law to do that. And that's supposed to function as a public private consortium. Lawmakers involved in crafting that legislation said that it would ensure that scientists, not just politicians, were involved in allocating the money. That's the private, public side of things. Well, the Trump administration is out arguing here this week that the creation of Netcast went beyond what was mandated by Congress in that CHIPS Act, and that the Biden administration actually staffed the organization with political allies. So an independent committee selected the first board of supervisors for Netcast. Back then it was known as Semi-US, so there's been some name changes there, folks. According to the press release from the National Semiconductor Technology Center, is what, they selected that first board of supervisors, and the Trump administration is claiming that the Biden administration handpicked the members of that committee. So there are a former Biden advisor on that committee. There is other people with ties to the Biden administration. And basically, the Trump administration is saying that it's a slush fund meant to enrich the Democratic and Joe Biden political allies, is what that money is going to. So they're trying to claw that back now, or they're going to claw back, according to that story. But a little update on a story we gave to you a year or two ago. And this is interesting. We talk a lot about not just data centers here, but manufacturing, how much water they require, how much power they require here. Well, if you missed this story, right? TSMC Arizona, right? The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company up there at the I-17 and the 303 area up there in North Phoenix. They came out yesterday and they announced that they have broken ground on a 15-acre industrial reclamation water plant. And it's all going to be up there to support that North Phoenix manufacturing operations up in that area. So if you don't know, chip manufacturing actually requires a lot of water. They call it ultra pure water. It has to be clean water. What it does is it washes away microscopic particles. And if it's not clean, if it's not ultra pure, well, it can create defects in the semiconductor wafers, can actually put dents into it and mean it's not going to work properly. So TSMC Arizona, well, they already have said they recycle some industrial wastewater up at that campus, but they said the new water reclamation facility will allow it to reuse 85 to 90% of the water that the city delivers to the site. I saw a figure yesterday, don't quote me on this, that they already recycle about 65% of their water used up there right now. So this is going to improve that number to 85, 90% of the water being recycled. So the industrial reclamation water plant, well, it's going to be operational not until 2028, so a few years here coming our way, but it is coming here to obviously save some water usage and the strain on our water system here in Arizona. And so this story here is kind of a double whammy here. If you drive down I-17, you remember the old Fry's Electronics store there on Thunderbird and everything. Well, that building is still there right now. We do have a future for it as well. We'll get into that in a minute. But Fry's Electronics used to be there. Even the one down in I-10 in US 60 area has been closed as well since 2001. They Fry's Electronics shut down their stores at that time. They blamed the retail industry and pandemic problems for closing down their operations. Well, yesterday or earlier this week, some fans of that Fry's Electronics store, you got to go and look around one last time. Well, they got to go in there and look around because it was part of a public preview for an auction of its remaining items that they're trying to unload. The palm trees, if you've been into that one, the palm trees and other things. They need to get this stuff out of there specifically. It's an unmistakable Aztec temple themed exterior. Obviously, sticks out. It did back then as well, but now that it's all worn down, it looks even weirder. There's a big chain link fence around it and everything. At its peak, Fry's Electronics had 2 stores here in Arizona, but overall had 31 stores in 9 states as well. I know the one in Indianapolis I've been to a few times when that one opened up back there as well. So you were able to go in there, look around. The one in Tempe was a golf theme. This one, obviously, an Aztec type things. So, there's an auction coming up for the items still in that store. Then once those items are auctioned off, they're removed. Well, the Fry's building is going to be demolished. This is the site where that city of Phoenix is going to build a new police station. Right? They bought the building, the city of Phoenix did, in 12.5 acre site last year, and they plan to build that new Cactus Park police precinct on that land. It's going to be a fire station as well. Demolition will start in September, and it'll take about 4 to 6 weeks to complete the demolition of that entire site. So this new police precinct will feature a vehicle maintenance bay, shooting range, fuel facilities, and even an evidence storage and processing areas within it. The design phase will kick off later this year. Construction will begin in 2026. The opening is scheduled as of right now for late 2027 or early 2028. It's kind of the time frame that we are looking at for that building there. And we told you when the city of Phoenix bought that land, it was always earmarked for that. And now we're starting to see the movement here with this auction sales and then a demolition starting. So if you drive in that area, heads up, you're going to see some big changes here with the demolition coming your way. And folks, we appreciate you joining us here for Thursday's edition of McCollum on Business. Don't forget about the main event. If you're a sports fan, Uncle Lou came in today and joined. Dale was here all show as well. We had a fun time talking some NFL today in the second hour. It's up on the free podcast, of course, on Robot TV as well. It'll be up here on YouTube here in just a shortly time frame. This will be up on YouTube as well. You can start seeing the shows there. Catch it on demand there as well. Putting it up and just getting it out there for everybody. Pit Stop will be up this week as well on the same setup. And folks, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Friday's edition before the 3-day holiday. We will be off here at McCollum on Business on Monday. Markets are closed with the Labor Day holiday. We'll see you then, folks. See you tomorrow, Friday, 11 o'clock.